Fantastic, thank you. And that strength, courage, and wisdom, that is alive today and appropriate for me right now. So, welcome everyone. I am Karen Cleveland. I am a minister here with Center for Spiritual Living. I use the pronoun she, her. And I am excited to welcome you to the month of June. We have a new theme this month, and it is We Are Family. And with that is oneness. One of our foundational principles is oneness. We are connected and belong to each other. When we begin to perceive the beautiful web of life we are a part of, it shifts how we show up in the world. And I am a full believer in this, and I am so excited to talk about it today with you. Let's just start with why oneness? Why do we need this? What does it mean to me, to you? If we are living in oneness, if we feel, if we understand and actually embody the oneness, I believe that we show up in a more authentic way. We come back to inner peace. There's still fear, there's still struggle, there's still things that happen, but we come back quicker to that inner peace within us. You know, this isn't just a foundational principle for Centers for Spiritual Living. As Andrea was saying earlier, wisdom across the ages, different religions talk about oneness, and they talk about it in different ways. And actually, practitioner Jane reminded me earlier today that our new, well, not our new, but the Catholic new Pope Leo, his motto is, "In the one, we are one." And I think that's appropriate. In the one, we are one. It's from his St. Augustine roots. But also in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, "The one who sees me in all things and all things in me never becomes separated from me, nor do I become separated from him." And in the Buddhist teachings, Bodhisattva does not regard themselves as separate from all other beings. A person does not regard themselves as separate. And of course, Jesus said, I and the Father are one. He was not referring to himself, but to everyone. Everyone is one with the Father. So again, what's important about this oneness, about being one? I mentioned coming back to inner peace, but also it can kind of be when we are feeling connected in the one with the world. It's kind of like our North Star. We can feel purposeful and feel direction, kind of know which way to go, which decisions to make sometimes. And in that alone, it offers some freedom for us to live in the oneness. In our Science of Mind, which is the book that Ernest Holmes wrote a lot of these teachings in. So page 487, and I'm going to paraphrase. He says that the belief in a life, let me find it, just a moment. The belief in a life apart from good is a dream from which we all must awake if we are to taste the waters of reality. So I'm just going to say that again. The belief that a life apart from good is a dream from which we must awake. And also that life is neither separate from good nor different. Life is neither separate from God nor different from good. Life is God, and good is the only power there is. So for those that don't know me very well or have never ever seen me before, let me just kind of give you my lens on life a little bit about how I live right now so we can discuss this oneness in a little bit of a different way than some of you are used to. I'm an animal communicator. I connect with animals. I don't really know how it happened. I did study it. I did follow a spiritual journey, separate from studying animal communication. But I really have found that I just kind of live in connection with animals now. And in doing that, So my husband and I accidentally started a safari company. So I know it sounds like, how does that happen accidentally? But I assure you it does. So I take people on safari also to experience animals on a greater level than just talking to people's dogs and cats and horses and rabbits. So that's kind of how I'm going to talk about today, is kind of experiences of living in oneness through animals or with animals. And I invite you, even if you're not an animal lover, to be open to the experience and to be open to the things that I might say, and realize that I might be talking about an animal, but it could just as easily be another person, it could be a tree, it could be a plant, it could be something else as well. So kind of all life is included in the one life. So whatever kind of life you are drawn to, just imagine that is how I'm inviting you to experience this today. So I will be giving some stories with animals and in my examples. So let's talk first about this principle of oneness. There is one infinite reality, and we call it many names. And again, I'm going to paraphrase some of this a little bit, but there is one that creates everything out of itself, and therefore includes both the absolute and relative, the tangible and the intangible, the physical and the metaphysical. Essentially what that means is there's one power, one good, one everything, and one God. And humans resist that. Maybe not us, but out there, there's a lot of people that resist one God, one everything. There's wars over it. There's people grappling with it, not knowing, I don't know, is there a God? I don't know if there's a God. There's people that resist just the whole idea that maybe there is, that maybe there isn't. So it can cause a lot of like inner strife for some people and between people. The animals don't feel that strife that we do. They just live in the oneness. They don't think about it. And let me just say that I do understand we are different than animals in that we do think differently. We do go to work, we do pay mortgages, we do have relatives that drive us crazy. We do, or I mean, other people do, but so there are some differences, yes, I get that. But at the end of the day, if a zebra, a lion, or a cat can do something in their spirit and essence, then we can too, because we're animals as well. So back to this oneness principle. So we resist it. Humans often resist it, but you know, the animals don't resist it. They are one with all. So Kathy Ann talked last week about neutrality. If you were here or in the last month, they talked about the chart from power versus force. And neutrality is a person not judging things good or bad, basically. And I can assure you the animals don't judge things good or bad. There might be some, cats and dogs that live in our houses that do pick up on our beliefs and do act some of the ways that we expect them to act due to our beliefs. But out on the savannah, they don't do it like that. They don't question whether something's good or bad. So when it starts raining, whereas we often run for cover, we often are not feeling so glorious in the rain. The impalas, the gazelles, they just stop. They kind of freeze. They decide to conserve their energy. They turn their rears to the wind so that the rain doesn't go in their eyes. But they don't resist it. They just go with it. Some of the animals will look for an acacia tree, but there's not enough acacia trees out there. So they're just kind of frozen, being with the one, in the one, just knowing it will pass and not questioning whether or not it's going to pass. The wildebeest don't resist migrating, as any migration animal, the birds, everything. They feel like they need to move. They feel like they need to go. They don't know why. They don't question it, but they move. And in that, they find food. They find water. They find safe places to give their babies or to have their babies. So they don't question what life is, what the universe is giving them. They just go with it. Ernest Holmes said that life is neither separate from God nor different from good. Okay, so we're not separate from God, we're not separate from good. Humans, as I said, like to question good or not good. There's actually a TV show, and I haven't finished all the seasons, so I might be wrong, but The Good Place seems to be trying to prove that humans will be good given the chance instead of bad. And they get points, for being good and points for being bad. And at the end of your life, you either go to the good place or the bad place. So, I feel like that's how we are sometimes. We're adding up our points, we're being good or we're not being good. We're being violent or we're not being violent. And animals, a lot of people think that out on the plains, the animals are being violent. But I don't believe so. There's not gratuitous violence. If they are hunting, if they're killing, if they're fighting, there's a reason. And it's about survival, and it's about propagation of the species. It's not about a grudge that someone has. It's not about wanting to get back at someone or something. The movie The Lion King, Scar and the hyenas trying to take down Mufasa and Simba, that's not based in reality so much. They don't actually plot like that against other animals. So they're not malicious. They're not malicious. And like I said, sometimes our domestic animals, pick up on some of our feelings and stuff, and they might seem that way. And actually, just a little plug for my afternoon workshop today, 1 o'clock. Be a better pet parent. We're going to talk a little bit about this right here at 1 o'clock. Okay. But generally speaking, our animals, even in our house, though, they want us to be happy. They want us to be good. When a client asks me to tell their dog or cat or horse that they're sorry for something, almost universally, the animal will tell me, there's nothing to be sorry for. There's nothing to forgive. Okay? And we feel guilt and shame. But generally, they are like, you know what? It's okay. I know. You're human. You're doing your best. So they truly do feel like there's nothing to forgive. So one of the other principles that we live by is the creative process. And again, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. So the universal law is impersonal, automatic, and intelligent. And this universal law receives the direct impress of our thoughts and of spirit and acts upon it. So what that means is a lot of people might call it manifestation or intentionally trying to create something. So being a co-creator for your life. We usually remember that this is one of the universal principles when we have something in our life happen that we don't like. It's like, oh, I'm not praying right. I'm not doing this right. I need to meditate better. I need to manifest better. The animals are natural co-creators. They don't think about it. It just happens. The birds build their nests when they're supposed to do it. As I said, the wildebeest migrate when they're supposed to do it. Have you ever So on my last safari, we saw this swarm of birds, thousands of birds together, and they're in the sky and they're moving around, and I think they're chasing bugs, although I'm not sure what they're doing, but they change, they move, and they're just flying through the sky so peacefully and gracefully. They don't run into each other. They know when to turn right or left or up or down. What if we tried to get 1,000 humans together to do that? We would never be able to not run into each other. But they are co-creating this world, and they know. They just literally go with the flow. They know when to move and how to do it. I just have a little side note here, is that a lot of times on safari, I see other safari vans, vehicles, just cruising by. And they're in a hurry to go see the lions, or in a hurry to go see the cheetahs or the leopards. And they don't stop and pay attention to what's around them. And I would not, and my people would not see so many things if we were just in a hurry to go see the lions. I can assure you. In fact, on this last safari also, we were stopped looking at something, I don't know what, and all of a sudden, right next to us on the road in a ditch that was covered with grass, a hyena pops up. And it was right there, and then another one popped up. It's like, oh my gosh, there's 2 hyenas right here, and then they went back down, and they were invisible again. These animals, everything is always there, we just don't see them. We're not taking the time to be in the presence, to be with the one. Who knows what you might be missing? So, because a lot of people miss things, the pelicans might not seem that interesting. I don't know, they might if you're a birder, but if they're in the water, and if you watch them long enough, you'll see that sometimes they start moving. So there's they form either a semicircle or a circle, and they start moving together, creating a smaller circle. It gets smaller inside, in the middle. And what they're doing is pushing the fish together so they can eat easier. But no one's telling them when to move or where to move. They just know when to start doing it. And actually, just like the lionesses, they know when to start to circle their prey. The lioness is all spread out. Well, they know when the timing is to do that to better their chances for survival. So the last principle I want to mention is that heaven is a state of awareness. So heaven basically here on earth. And we often think we have to reach that again through meditation or some kind of spiritual practice, to be in this heavenly state, this state of oneness, the mystical state. And really what we're doing in meditation is we're getting quiet, we're getting still, we're becoming aware. And it is the most amazing thing to drive through the animals and to come upon animals that are like that. And all of them do it, the zebras, the gazelles, the lions, the elephants. You come upon them, and you've probably seen pictures if you've never been out, but they're like just sitting there or standing there. They might have a soft gaze of the horizon, but you can tell they're aware of what's going on. They're completely in the moment. And they're not like that 100% of the time. When they're, hunting or being hunted, they're not in that state of mind, but very often they are. And it's not that there was a missionary that came and told them how to plant their feet firmly on the ground and be aware and get quiet. It's their natural state. They do that. That's what they do. And I think that it's one of the most meaningful times for me and my guests on safari when we come upon something like that, or we are in that moment and we make eye contact. Because the moment you make eye contact with an elephant that is connected with the universe, that is connected with everything around it, you are there. You are in that oneness, connected with everything. And people say, it's surreal, it's mystical, it's magical, but really it's indescribable. So how do we bring moments like that into our daily lives? That's what we want to do, because that's where we get the freedom, is bringing those moments into our daily lives. So, as I said earlier, we want to make that connection with things that are alive. It doesn't have to be an animal. You don't have to go on safari, But anytime that you're feeling like you're feeling separate from something, and the separation might be your family, it might be your body, it might be money. You can feel separate from anything. It doesn't have to be God, or it doesn't have to be another person. You can feel separate from anything in your life, separate from your health. You might ask yourself, what can I do to bring that back into family, to bring that back in and not feel so disconnected, not feel separate from it? And I say, return to the one. Be still. Find that life that you can be still with. It's a plant, it's a tree, it's a bee, it's a garden, it's a dead stump that actually has life teeming all over inside and around it. Or it's an animal. Whatever it is for you. Be still and find that one to bring back your personal freedom so that you are not feeling separate. I want to close today with just a quick prayer blessing. So, may we all see the spark of the divine in all that lives. May we remember that earth is not just our home, it is our family. And may we live the truth we know that all is one and we are all part of it. And so it is. Amen.